Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Middle Georgia Spotlight. I'm your host, Jack Ellis. We're glad to have you with us again this week. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Caduceus Medicine, J. Franklin Automotive, in the Spotlight this week. Before we get to the Spotlight, I want to ask you all to do something for me, though. I want you to like this show on YouTube. I want you to watch it on YouTube. I want you to watch it, and I want you to subscribe and tell your friends and neighbors to watch it on YouTube. And you'll be able to see it all over the world. You got friends in Europe or Africa, wherever they'll be able to see this show. It will be there forever. But joining us in the Spotlight this week, a man needs no introduction to people that make it in the middle of Georgia. He's made his mark and as a businessman, as a civic leader, and as a leader of the Industrial Development Authority and Economic Development here in Middle Georgia. And he's joining us in the Spotlight this week, Clifford Whitby. Welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Good to see you. First of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. From what I understand, this is the first interview that you've given since God Almighty and 12 people judged justly and found you not guilty of a serious charge.
Yes.
And I appreciate that. I'm honored that you would give me this opportunity. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
How's your family?
Family is doing very well. We are very blessed.
Well, great. You have, I guess, I know you're a man of faith. I know that. But I guess if we have to use a biblical comparison from what you've gone through, I would go back to Babylon and Meshach, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, right, whatever their names were. I think I mispronounced one of them. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Yes. Yeah, but they call them something else sometimes. but on the real, on a serious side, you've gone through the fire, and we know that when those men went into the fiery furnace, they came out stronger and more determined to do what thus said the Lord. Did you come out of this strong? Are you already a strong man? Did you come out stronger?
You know, Mayor Ellis, I want to thank you again for inviting me on. And it's an honor that you are the first person I have a sit down, because there is a tremendous amount of work to be done in this city. But to answer your question, absolutely. My family and I are more determined than ever to positively impact a community that we care about, a community that has so much potential. And leadership is critical at this time. So for what we've been through, it was to prepare us to help continue to contribute to this community. I don't think God put you through what He allowed us to go through. To run and hide, and to remove yourself because of anger and bitter. You know, I'm a man of faith, as you mentioned, and I do believe in the human spirit, and that's what driven us.
And you believe in the goodness of people. So the people who sat in judgment of you, not only were they good people, but they followed the law, and you were exonerated 100% by a jury of your peers. So you have nothing to hold your head, in our system. I think of at the same time when you were having that you had your trial going on, there was a trial at the federal level, and I compared it, and I made mention of it at the time. Senator Mendez, yes, in New Jersey, yes, who was accused of doing something far greater than mm-hmm. you, but he didn't resign his seat mm-hmm. in the Senate. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, once he was exonerated, he went right back and started being a senator, and that was it. No one right. called into question right. his authority and his right to be there. Right. So I would hope that no one would ever call into question your right to continue to serve this community in any capacity that you so desire, that you and your family decide going forward that you want to serve. And I say that as a former mayor of the city, and I say that as someone who appointed you to the Industrial Authority and never regretted it 1 minute. But let's talk about you and not about me, not have revisionist history. that you grew up in Macon and Bibb County on the, I guess you could say, the other side of the track, and so did I.
Yes.
But you worked hard through hard work and probably some mentors along the way, but built a company, hired people, made sure they made payroll for people, and did so much good. Former president of the 100 Black Men, and all the other accolades, the good that you've done in the community. How did it make you feel when someone would falsely accuse you with all the good that you've tried to do, given from where you did it anger you, or did you say, God forgive them for they know not what they do? What was your attitude?
That's a very good question. And if I'm to be quite honest, I will have to say all the emotions, natural, normal emotions, manifest themselves during the process. But I go back to my upbringing. There are many who would take a situation like that and allow it to define them. I couldn't do that. I got an Ivy League upbringing. I was raised in my father's barbershop. I call it an Ivy League upbringing. As you know, Mary Ellis, the barbershop is where the men in the community gather to discuss community affairs and significant issues that impact our community. I learned from my father how to listen. Everybody had a view. Everybody had an opinion. It was up to us to determine what made more sense. My father treated every customer with dignity and respect. And that's the same thing I try to do today. I try to honor the legacy of those who came before us and who paid a far greater price than us. We owe a great debt to men who didn't enjoy some of the freedoms. Am I saying that it's all better now? Am I saying the work is done? Oh, by no means. But for what men like my father experienced growing up in Macon, it pales in comparison, even with what my family and I went through. So I'm deeply honored to be able to continue that fight for equality in our community.
Well, we see in our community a lot of young people are misguided, don't have the kind of grounding that your father and your mother instilled in you. And some of them are wayward, we would call them. I don't want to call them thugs. I don't want to give any name like that to these children. They're wayward. Some of them haven't been trained properly, haven't been. Is that what drove you to want to advance, spread your tent, enlarge your tent, if you will, and not just to think about Clifford Whitby and Whitby Inc., who had contracts to do building and so forth and so on, but you saw something greater in this community. You said, wait a minute, and you said, we need to do something about these people that I know, that the salt of this community I grew up with, I saw growing up, and let's do something. What brought that about?
Well, I subscribe to he to whom much is given, much is required. This is home. My wife and I chose, my wife is a medical physician. After she finished her medical training at Emory University, she had job offers all over this country. We chose to stay in Macon. We chose to lend our particular talents and concerns to make this a better place. Sure, my wife and I could have packed up and moved to Silicon Valley or anywhere we chose to. But I have childhood friends, and they have children. I have nieces and nephews. My mother still live here. We owe a debt. I spoke about the patriarchs. Mary Ellis, you know what our ancestors experienced. The struggles. And so when I say it pales in comparison,
Yeah.
it truly pales in comparison. We stand on the shoulders of giants. I've had it said to me, well, your father was just a barber. And I can quickly say to him, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Yeah, that barber who was able to raise a man like you, give me a barber like that in a minute. But obviously we have some challenges in our community, and you saw them and you tried to correct them. What do you think? What type of leadership you think? And of course, it's going to definitely take some servant leadership, that's for question, and some leading by example. But what will it take to poverty is rampant, especially in the African American community, which you tried to address through the Promised Neighborhood. Even our black boys are not being educated, the disparity in education in black boys in this city, not at what it should be. Economic disparities. What will it take to fix some of this? We're approaching the 200th year, the bicentennial of the founding of Macon and Bibb County in 3 years. And we are still find ourselves not growing as much. Economically, good. You did a great job bringing jobs here. But the population-wise, people getting the jobs living in Houston County and elsewhere coming in here. What will it take, in your opinion, having sat at the table, if you will, not just sat at the table, but a voice at the table, what will it take to solve some of these problems, and what's your vision for fixing it? I mean, when I say for fixing it, not you alone fixing, but the vision for when I say you, collectively, the you, us, all of us.
A true commitment to truly educating our children for a 21st century education. We must prepare our children for the world that's already here. No longer can we continue to subscribe to models and strategies that are antiquated. No longer can we not have real confidence and faith that our children can learn. Our children can learn, and they are the future. You cannot continue to favor just one area of this community without focusing real resources in areas that are needed. That is the greatest potential for growth in this community. The greatest. Too often we have the haves and the have-nots and the battles. It's about somebody taking a piece of my pie. I do subscribe that we got to grow the pie for all to have an equal opportunity. Equity, equality is central, it's needed. That's how we end up with these various disparities, whether it's the criminal justice system or how we devote resources and commitments on the behalf of the public resources anyway.
Now, you have had a great deal of support, and I'm very pleased to say that the clergy, sometime in this community, we malign the clergy, say what they are not doing in the community. But they really stepped to the forefront and started this prayer circle, if you will, this prayer vigil on you and your family's behalf as you had your day in court, if you will. But what more can they do? I know they've stepped up for you. Can they step up to solve some of these other problems if they are asked, maybe they haven't been asked, because when they're asked, they seem to respond. What would be your assessment and the power that they have?
The clergy has always been the focal point in the African American community. When we had nothing else, we could always turn to the church. The clergy has been very supportive to my family and I. The clergy has been very supportive to lending their voice for fairness. But can they do more? Of course they can do more. And I think over the coming weeks and months, you're gonna see the clergy and the ministers lend their voice in a way that they haven't done for a little while now. As you know, Mary Ellis, our local clergy was attacked somewhat similarly with the faith-based initiative, where many of our very prominent ministers were, at the very least, smeared.
They questioned
Yes.
their integrity, what they did. And I won't want to go back there because it was during my administration.
And I don't either, but I do think it's important for a historical basis that the clergy came under significant attack, but it's not a new attack. So I was taught, Mary Ellis, when you see a good fight, get in it. What is a better fight than fighting for equity for East Macon? To fight for equity for blighted communities, to fight for economic, a level playing field. What is a better fight?
Well, when I look at you and I know your history, and when you said blight and housing and community development, you know what you're talking about, not only community development, but economic development. You're probably one of the few people in this town that had worn both of those hats. Some of the people don't realize some of the houses that you see when you ride around here, that your company built them, created opportunities, first time home ownership in this town, and I'm very grateful for that. But how do we deal with the blight? Now, we attacked blight, and you were a partner with us, along with other people, in doing that. But how do we attack blight? Blight seems now, we were calling them substandard houses back then, dilapidated houses. Now, the term blight is, because blight is not just about houses, also other things. But in your opinion, if you had to come up with a program, if I came to you and say, you built all these great houses, now we still got these houses, I need a plan to attack blight. How would you go about that?
The same way we did in the 90s. Collectively, we come together and we map out a strategy. Many people don't know this, but Macon, at that time, you served as mayor, ranked per capita at the absolute top for substandard property. You as mayor made a commitment to build first-time homes for first-time home buyers. We built over 300 properties and repaired probably 1,000. We address blight, substandard housing, with a commitment from your administration. And a little known fact, and I don't hear you talking about this that much, but we won 2 national awards.
Sure did.
For those efforts. It takes commitment, Mr. Mayor. A commitment in a real way from leadership.
So we know that home ownership is the first avenue to wealth, especially in the black community. Most of our wealth is in our homes. We don't have big portfolios elsewhere, for the most part. There are exceptions, of course. But what I see happening in Macon now and I don't know how you address it or else where it's addressed. Because I have a responsibility. It can't happen to me firsthand. And you hear what I'm talking about. The transfer of wealth from the black community primarily to the white community in this town. And this has taken place since the Great Recession. If you own a home in a certain zip code during the Great Recession, your value went down, it stayed down. Another place it went down, it's back up. Mm-hmm. So we have Shirleyton, some other places in this town where traditional, historically black neighborhoods, they think their property is worth more than it is, right, because it's assessed at one value, but when you get an appraiser, it's at a different value, and it's primarily in the neighborhoods of color. What can we do to address that? Either get the tax assessors to get in line with the appraisers, or get the appraisers to get in line with the, and we talk about the private sector, a place that you've been and where you've always stayed, even when you were volunteering. People have to realize that what you did on the Industrial Authority, you didn't get paid.
No.
You volunteered. You took
right.
time away from your business and your family to do this. So what will it take to make this happen?
That's a economic reality. When we look at the income disparities in this community, I don't care what sector you choose to look at. Look at where the real resources go. Whether it's a chamber of commerce or a philanthropic entity or even the city, the school system, the water authority. Look where the real resources are going and who they're going to. Mm-hmm. This is a have and have not question. Mm. So when you think about the median household income making, it grew under my leadership at the Industrial Authority, several $1,000s. I believe from 27,000 to about 33, 34,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. But it was due to a commitment. This is an economic challenge. You cannot expect communities to struggle the way we're forcing our communities. One of the things that disturbed me greatly as I became orientated at the Industrial Authority is what are we offering to companies to come here? I couldn't speak on that the way I can today. The greatest incentive, the old model offered companies to move to Macon is abate all taxes and liberal work labor laws. Translation.
Anti-union.
We don't have a commitment to our people. I think we've got to change that. I've been in rooms and conversations with people as we discuss how we attract businesses and was horrified that the commitment to our labor force was what it was. You cannot expect people to work for salaries that they can't truly that they can't truly support a family on. We have to change that.
Now, you work tirelessly, and I give credit where credit is due. I tried hard, and that is minority participation because of a lot, as you said, a lot of money comes into this town through these bonds and everything that you do in Industrial Authority. But you were able to accomplish something that I wasn't able to accomplish, and that is to bring more African American and women into the pool, if you will, to get a piece of the pie, as you said, even if you weren't growing it. But you grew the pie, but you made sure the pie was growing, they got a slice of it. And tell us a little bit about your thinking there and how did that work, and what would you recommend to other entities, the hospital authority, the water authority, and others, to follow your lead, to take that to take a page out of your playbook to make sure that contracts are given out equitably in this city?
I have to, full disclosure, I have to be quite candid here. What we was able to accomplish, what I was able to accomplish, I didn't create. Maynard Jackson had a model.
Yeah.
We're gonna make a commitment. When I learned as the chairman of the lead economic development arm, that was 55 years, in its 55-year history, had never done one single contract, spent one single dollar that could be documented with a minority, and that include women, contractor, vendor. How can I, as the chair of the lead economic development arm, just ignore that? And so the challenge became, well, why? Well, we can't seem to find qualified minority firms. Excuse me? And as that was being discussed, all members of our board committed to reverse that. And I think the final number as I left was 7 million with women-owned and minority firms. That was done, and in all fairness, every member of that board agreed completely that that was deplorable.
So you didn't have to bring them kicking and screaming. You said, this is what we're going to do, let's go.
But it takes...
That's leadership.
But it takes somebody that is committed.
That's leadership. That's what it is. And leadership and as well as having empathy for those that in other words, I made it, but I don't want to close the door. I want other people to come through that door as well. We have about a minute left. Talk about the youth. I want you to talk about the young people. You grew up in this town, so did I. I went to jail during the civil rights movement for trying to go into the Crystal. That's the first time I've been inside, and twice I was arrested for wanting to just have the right to get a 10-cent hamburger. But what would you say to young people now who are squandering opportunities, being arrested for maybe because of bad laws, chased down for marijuana and all? What would you say to them to try and get them to be productive, but yet understand that they can be children and have a good time, but yet we keep out on them? What would you say to the young people of this town?
I respectfully say to you and your viewers, that's our failure. That's our failure. These are our children. I have so much faith and confidence in our young people. They are a very unique breed that's just looking for guidance and directions. They need to know we care. They need to know we really respect their abilities and you cannot compare a child that's raised in this technological era to when I grew up. These children have the world at their fingertips in the blink of a second. And we want to treat them as though somehow, we're in the 40s and the 50s. It's not going to work and they're not going to accept it. So commitment from our end will go a long way.
Well, I'm glad that you were committed, and your work for the Promised Neighborhood and all that showed that you were committed to the least of thee, committed to the children in this community, and I thank you very much for that. And thank you so much for being on the program. We're fresh out of time. We've been talking with Clifford Whitby, who is the former chair of the Macon-Bibb County Industrial Authority and the chairman and CEO, president and CEO of Whitby, Inc. Until next week, we'll be right here at the same time with the Middle Georgia Spotlight. I'm your host, Jack Ellis. Goodbye.